My name is Arthur Kingsley. I'm 64 years old, a retired aerospace engineer, and for most of my life, I've lived in the quiet Midwestern town of Barrow Creek, Wisconsin. I built rockets, but I never learned how to hold a family together. My son Derek owns half of downtown Chicago. My daughter Vanessa has 3 degrees and 0 empathy. Me. I was always the silent one, the youngest of 6 siblings, the one nobody listened to, the one who learned to watch from the corners of the room. Even now, after everything, I still feel like the outsider in a family I created. But nothing made that clearer than standing alone at my wife's funeral, staring at a wall of empty chairs while my children toasted cocktails and laughed 2 states away. What I didn't know then, what none of them expected, is that Marlene's death wasn't just a tragedy. It was a cover-up, and someone left me a clue. The wind cut through the stone chapel like a blade, whistling between the empty pews. I was the only one seated in the front row, stiff-backed, silent, watching Marlene's coffin rest on a platform too polished, too pristine. The lilies beside it looked like lies. No Derek, no Vanessa, no apology, no excuse. The priest cleared his throat twice, hesitant, adjusting his glasses like they'd help him make sense of the scene. "Would you like to wait a few more minutes, Mr. Kingsley?" I shook my head. "Start." She hated delays. He nodded, voice flat, reciting scripture to no one. Every echo in the chapel felt like an accusation. Behind me, the rest of the pews stood empty, like the promises my children made when they were younger. "We'll always be there, Dad." "Sure." Until death showed up and cleared the schedule. When people talk about grief, they usually describe a storm. Mine was more like fog, thick, cold, clinging to every breath, every step. I didn't cry, not out of strength, but because I'd dried out weeks ago. Someone once told me, real sorrow doesn't scream. It whispers until it becomes the only thing you hear. I heard it now, every second. As the casket was lowered into the earth, the wind grew sharper. The sky hung low, colorless. One groundskeeper stood at a distance, hand resting on a shovel, watching me like I might jump in after her. I stood there longer than I needed to. My heels sank into soft dirt. My coat flapped behind me like a flag no one saluted. Then a man I didn't recognize, tall, pale, undercut hair, no name tag, approached. Funeral staff, I assumed. He wore gloves, which seemed odd for 50 degrees. He leaned in. No eye contact. Slipped something into my palm. A black envelope sealed with red wax. No words. He walked off like a shadow that forgot to vanish. Back in my car, I locked the doors out of instinct. The envelope sat in my lap. Smooth. No writing. I cracked the seal. Inside, a photo. Blurry, grainy shot from a distance. Marlene, standing at our front porch. Same blue sweater she wore the night before she died. Her hair was pinned up, like she always did when she was anxious. She was looking out into the dark, not at the stars, at someone. And then, scribbled in shaky black ink across the bottom, she wasn't alone. That night, I couldn't sleep. The clock on the nightstand ticked louder than usual. I stared at her side of the bed, still made, untouched, empty. I checked the front porch cam footage. Nothing. Deleted, glitched. At 2:03 a.m., I stepped outside. Porch light flickered. Across the street, a black SUV idled, windows tinted. I couldn't see the driver. I stared at it. It didn't move. Not a damn inch. I took a step forward. The engine revved, then silence. I blinked, and it was gone. Someone else was with my wife that night, and they're watching me now. The house was too quiet. I stood in the doorway of the living room, staring at the couch Marlene used to nap on during late afternoons. One of her throw pillows had slid to the floor. I didn't pick it up. Silence has a weight. After enough days, it doesn't just sit in the room. It presses down on your chest, makes every breath feel like a negotiation. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. I didn't need to look. I already knew whose names wouldn't be there. Still, I checked. Derek had updated his Instagram story. I tapped it. Champagne bottle, neon lights, rooftop party. Life's short. Celebrate. Caption stung like acid in a fresh wound. I scrolled again. Vanessa. A brunch table. 4 women laughing in sunglasses. Bottomless mimosas. Mom would want me happy. "Want you present," I muttered. Not happy. I sat down. The chair creaked under me like it was also tired of holding weight. A long time ago, I told Derek something I read once. A man's true character isn't shown in battle, it's revealed at the graveside. Apparently, he never listened. The door creaked open behind me. I froze, then turned. Nothing. No wind, no draft. But the door had been locked. I stood, grabbed the poker from the fireplace, and moved quietly down the hallway. The floor whispered beneath my steps. Back door, shut. Windows, locked. But the garage. I flipped the switch. The door to the garage was ajar. Just a sliver. I pushed it open with the poker. Cold, dust, darkness. Nothing moved. I stepped in, checked the corners. Toolboxes, water heater, boxes. The third box from the top had been opened. Marlene's old file box. I knelt, flipped through folders, receipts, birth certificates, an old driver's license. Then something caught my eye. A manila envelope, marked, personal, not to file. I opened it. A photocopy of a will, unfinished, unsigned, dated 1 week before Marlene died. She had planned to change everything, remove the kids, add a charity, the Haven Foundation, support for domestic violence survivors. I blinked, read it again. Support for who? I'd never told Marlene about my childhood. Not really. I was the kid locked in closets, the one who flinched when voices rose, the youngest brother, the punching bag. How did she know? A soft knock. I turned sharply. No one. I checked the door again. Locked. Then my laptop for across the room is chimed. New email. No subject, no sender. I clicked. One sentence. Ask your son. My pulse jumped. I reread it. No signature. No attachment. Nothing else. I checked the time. 10:21 p.m. I called Derek. Rang once, twice. He picked up. Background noise. Music. Clinking glasses. Dad? He sounded breathless. Where are you? Out. Why? It's urgent. Did you... I hesitated. Did you see Mom the night she died? Pause. The beat was half a second too long. I told you I was in Chicago. I didn't ask where. I asked if you saw her. Jesus, Dad. Why would you even ask that? The line went quiet. I could hear breathing. A door creaked in the background of his call. High-pitched, familiar, like the back porch. I froze. Derek, are you in town? Click. Call ended. I stared at the screen. Redialed, straight to voicemail. Then the garage light flickered. 1 blink, 2, off. I grabbed my keys and ran outside. The cold slapped me across the face. Across the street, the same SUV idled, black, windows tinted. It revved once, headlights on full. I approached. The engine roared. It peeled out, tires screaming against asphalt, fishtailed at the stop sign, and vanished. I stood in the middle of the street, breath fogged, hands shaking. If Derek was at the house that night, then my wife didn't fall, she was pushed. The lights in Margaret Caldwell's office buzzed overhead. Fluorescents. Too bright, too sterile. They made the walls sweat and the silence louder. She shut the door behind me, slow and deliberate, like a judge about to issue a sentence. "Thank you for coming in, Arthur," she said. I didn't answer. She gestured to the leather chair across from her desk. I sat. My back stayed straight. Margaret wore a navy blue suit. Her blouse was pearl white, spotless. Her smile, surgical. "I assume this is about Marlene's estate," I said. Her eyebrows rose just slightly. "Among other things." She opened a drawer, pulled out a manila envelope, slid it across the desk. "This is the most recent draft. Marlene prepared it with my office. You'll want to review." I opened the envelope. Read the first few lines. It wasn't the will I found at home. This one was dated 3 days earlier, still unsigned, but this version named Derek and Vanessa as equal beneficiaries. No mention of the Haven Foundation. She changed her mind? I asked. Margaret folded her hands. "We had conversations. I believe she intended to honor this version. Belief isn't binding." Her smile didn't move. "True, but perception shapes litigation. I'd prefer to avoid conflict, Arthur." There it was, the edge beneath the silk. Some people use silence as a weapon, others as a warning. Margaret was both. "You're suggesting I approve this version?" I asked. "I'm suggesting," she said, "that drawing attention to family division during probate would create unnecessary tension and possibly trigger a formal review. You wouldn't want that, would you?" I stared at her. A long breath. Then, Are you threatening me? Margaret leaned forward. Your past isn't as buried as you think. Blood pressure spiked. You're digging in the wrong grave, Margaret. She blinked just once. I stood. Meeting's over. I walked out. Outside, the wind had picked up. The sky was all slate and steel. I moved fast toward the parking garage. Concrete, low ceilings, yellow lighting. Halfway down the ramp, I stopped. A sound. Soft. Click, click. I turned. A camera. Someone was recording me from behind a pillar. Black hoodie. Phone in hand. Hey! They ran. I chased. My legs ached. My breath burned. The figure disappeared around a corner. By the time I got there, nothing. Just the fading sound of tires screeching and a black SUV turning the far exit. Again, same one. Always watching. Back home, I found the envelope still in my coat pocket. I dumped it on the kitchen table. Read every line. Something was wrong. Too clean. Too polished. Marlene hated legalese. She would have asked me to explain these phrases. Yet here it was. Precise. Rehearsed. Cold. My phone rang. Vanessa. She never called. Dad? Her voice trembled. Someone came to my apartment. I straightened. What do you mean? They knocked. They said they were from Margaret's office, asked about the will. Then they warned me. Warned you? They said you weren't supposed to keep anything. Then left. My grip on the phone tightened. Did you tell them anything? No, but... She paused. You told her, didn't you? Told who what? Mom, about the stuff that happened when you were a kid. I froze. I didn't, I said. Vanessa whispered, then how did she know? I couldn't answer. Later that night, I sat in the den, lights off, watching the porch camera again, frame by frame. 10:01 p.m. Marlene opens the door, steps outside. 10:02. A figure appears at the edge of the porch, tall, hooded. 10:03. Video cuts out, gone. I went to the front door, stepped outside, air sharp as razors. Across the street, black SUV again. Same one, engine running. It revved, lights flared, but didn't move. I stepped forward, slow, deliberate. The SUV peeled out, tires screaming against asphalt, gone again. I came back inside, found a white envelope under the doormat. No name, no stamp, just one line written in slanted pen. Stop digging, or you'll join her. They killed my wife, and now they're coming for me. I woke to the sound of breaking glass. Sharp, sudden, final. 2:14 a.m. The kind of hour nothing good happens. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept by the bed and moved through the hallway barefoot. The floor was cold. The air felt wrong, like the house was holding its breath. The kitchen window above the sink was shattered inward. Tiny shards glimmered on the tile like ice under moonlight. I didn't move. Then I saw it. Muddy footprints across the linoleum. Someone had been inside. Maybe still was. Some people fear what they don't understand. Others destroy it. I moved slow. Every step deliberate. Down the hall, into the garage. The door was cracked open. I kicked it wide. Empty. Boxes overturned. My tool chest pulled open, but nothing taken. I scanned the shelves. Then I saw it. Marlene's green USB drive, the one she always carried, tucked behind a loose panel under the tool rack. Gone. And on the workbench, scratched into the dust with a gloved finger. Too late. The police arrived 20 minutes later. Uniforms, flashlights, useless. They asked the standard questions. I gave standard answers. Anything stolen? Yes. What? A drive. What was on it? I don't know. That part was true. I didn't. But I knew it mattered because someone had broken glass to get it, and they hadn't touched a single thing of value. At dawn, I called Vanessa. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was groggy. I need to see you, I said. Dad, what happened? Now. She met me at a diner just off Highway 6. Neutral ground, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like rubber and the silence between booths is sacred. She wore sunglasses, hoodie, no makeup, not her usual look. She slid into the booth across from me, hands trembling slightly. I lied, she said. About what? She looked down, picked at her napkin, then met my eyes. The drive. Mom gave it to me the week before she died. She said, if anything happened to her, I should give it to you. Why didn't you? I got scared. Then Margaret called, said there were legal implications, that if I interfered with estate property, it could affect the will. I leaned in. Did you watch what was on it? No, I couldn't. I didn't want to know. You still have it? She shook her head. I hid it in my closet, behind the heating vent. 2 nights ago, it was gone. No sign of forced entry. Just gone. I looked at her. No makeup, nervous fingers, shadows under her eyes. She was telling the truth. Then she whispered, they were in my apartment too, weren't they? I nodded once. Back at the house, I opened the safe in Marlene's sewing room. Inside were the usual things: insurance docs, passports, old letters, and a photo. Marlene, in front of the Haven Foundation's community center, arms crossed, proud, resolved, on the back, in her handwriting. He thinks his past is dead, but I found the bones. That night, a van tried to run me off the road. It came out of nowhere, high beams blinding, engine roaring behind me like thunder. I swerved hard, hit gravel. The steering wheel jerked from my hands. For a moment, the world tilted. Then tires caught. I fishtailed, righted, and pulled into a gas station. The van didn't stop, didn't even slow, just vanished. The clerk inside watched me stumble in, shaking. You okay, man? I nodded, barely. He looked me over. You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, I said. A warning. When I got home, a package was waiting at the door. No return label, no name. Inside, a flash drive, no message. I plugged it into my laptop. One file, no title, just a timestamp, 10:03 p.m. I clicked. The screen lit up with low-res black and white footage. Marlene, standing in the hallway, talking to someone off camera. Her voice was quiet, but clear. If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. A beat. Then, tell Arthur, tell him not to trust Margaret. I paused the video, hands shaking, eyes burning. The timestamp matched the minute the camera at the porch cut out. Marlene had known. Someone else was with my wife that night, and they're watching me now. The video played again. Her voice. That sentence. Tell Arthur not to trust Margaret. I leaned back in the chair, heart thudding in my throat. The screen glowed cold in the dark room. The timestamp. 10:03 p.m. The exact minute the porch camera had cut out. Someone didn't just want Marlene dead. They wanted her silenced. My phone buzzed. Derek. I answered on the first ring. Dad, he said, voice raw. We need to talk. Then talk. No. Face to face. I'll meet you. The lake house, half hour. Click. The lake house had been in the family for years. Remote, surrounded by pine. Dead signal zone. I pulled in just as the last light left the sky. Mist curled off the water like ghosts drifting back to shore. Derek stood by the dock, hands deep in his jacket, eyes everywhere but me. You came alone, he asked. No one follows me unless they want to fight. He half smiled. Still got that edge, huh? I buried that edge next to your mother. Start talking. He looked down at the water, then said it. She paid me. Who? Margaret. My blood chilled. She told me not to show up to the funeral, said if I did, it would raise questions, that there were complications with the will, that if I stayed quiet, I'd get my share. I stared at him. You took it. I was broke, Dad. Look, I didn't know about Mom. I didn't think. You didn't think. I cut. Exactly. He swallowed. She said Mom was unstable, that the foundation thing was a phase. Your mother never had phases. She had convictions. He nodded barely, then added, There's more. Of course there was. We moved inside. The lake house smelled like dust and old pine. Derek pulled out his phone, scrolled, then played a voicemail, muffled, distorted, but clear enough. Arthur doesn't know what she was planning. If he finds out, this whole thing falls apart. Keep him distracted or cut him loose. A pause. Then, I'll handle the rest. I recognized the voice. Margaret. Flat. Unshaken. The same tone she used when suggesting I avoid conflict. I sat down slowly. You kept this? I asked. She sent it by mistake, Derek said. Meant for someone else, I think. It came as a voice message through encrypted chat. I screen recorded before it disappeared. Why come to me now? He hesitated. Because someone broke into my place yesterday, took my laptop, left a note. He pulled it from his pocket, crumpled, torn. Loyalty ends when you talk. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I printed copies of the video Marlene left me, hid them in 3 different spots, one at the bank, one in a safety box under an alias I hadn't used in years, one mailed to a friend in Phoenix just in case. Paranoia is the gift grief leaves behind. The next morning, Vanessa called. She sounded shaken. I think someone's been following me. Where are you? In my car. I left the city. I'm driving to you. Good. There's more, Dad. About Mom. She paused, then whispered. She told me Margaret threatened her. When? A week before she died. Mom said if anything ever happened, I had to remember the safe word. My breath caught. What word? Clarity. My blood ran cold. That word, Marlene only ever used it once before, in a therapy session, a secret between us, something we used when the truth got too heavy. If she said that word, she was scared. Later that afternoon, I checked the mailbox. Another envelope, no name. Inside, 2 printed photos. 1, me, standing at Marlene's grave. 2, Vanessa, entering her apartment. Both time-stamped, both taken within the past 48 hours, and 1 line scribbled beneath them. The USB shows everything. Don't let her get to you. If Margaret finds the USB before I do, I'm dead. Snow fell in ghost-white flakes as I climbed the stairwell to the rooftop. Each step echoed in the stairwell, hollow. My breath made clouds. The air tasted like winter and fear. At the top, nothing but wind. The city lights flickered below. Quiet, empty, except for me. I held the flash drive tight in my coat pocket, the one that mattered, the one they died to hide. A door creaked behind me. She stepped out. Margaret Caldwell, her coat buttoned perfectly, hair pulled back, face unchanged, calm. Predator calm. Trouble sleeping, Arthur? She asked, voice smooth. I didn't answer. I just watched her. She took a slow step forward. Snow swirled at her heels. You have everything wrong. Her voice was low, hard. Marlene wasn't silenced because of charity. She was silenced because she found out what I did. I frowned. She turned to the edge. See that vault below? She pointed. Outside the building. Safe deposit. My signature. My code. I siphoned millions. Redirected funds meant for widows, orphans, your charity. Money I rerouted to offshore accounts. She smiled slightly. She threatened to expose me, and I made sure she couldn't. Snow blew harder, wind hammered. Her words cut through the cold. I realized why the drive was gone from the garage, why the threats began, why the break-in, the missing footage, the cold note on my porch, and now, her confession at midnight, on a rooftop. I stepped forward. You won't get away with this. She tilted her head. Maybe not. She reached inside her coat. Slow. I lunged, but she was faster. A small blade flashed in the dim rooftop light. Metal cold. Silent. She slashed. I staggered, the steel singing across my cheek. Pain hot and sudden. Blood bloomed at the cut. My fingers shook. I grabbed her wrist. Hard. She hissed. Then something cracked behind me. The door from the stairwell. A figure appeared. Derek. He shone a flashlight. Beam wide. Strong. Dad! He shouted. Margaret turned. Eyes wild. She shoved me. I lost grip. The blade slipped. Snow scattered. Derek yelled. In that instant, I lunged again. Screamed. Lights from below. Police sirens. Engines revving. Margaret tried to run. She slipped on the icy rooftop. Fell forward over the ledge. Down she went. Silent. Siren wails grew louder. Blue and red strobes cut through the air. I stumbled to the edge, stared over. Nothing but darkness. Only the wind answered. They questioned us for hours. Cold rooms, bright lights, cameras. They found records, money trails, transfer logs, hidden accounts, programs marked charity, rerouted, all real, by law, undeniable. Margaret Caldwell was arrested, charged, investigation launched. I sat in a chair, collapsed. Snow melted on my jacket. I felt empty, exhausted, alive. Derek and Vanessa watched me. No words, only sorrow, guilt. Vanessa finally spoke. Soft. Broken. Why didn't you trust us? Dad? I closed my eyes. Hurt sharpened the truth. I didn't trust the world. Not anymore. Weeks later, the foundation was reactivated. The Haven Foundation. Real this time. Transparent. Legal. In Marlene's name. A simple plaque. For those who have lost a voice. I stood before it. Frost on my breath. The plaque glinted under a pale sun. I pressed a finger to the words. No fanfare. No cameras. Just quiet. She got justice. And maybe, so did I. The truth doesn't die with the body. It waits for someone brave enough to set it free. I looked at the empty spot beside me, the coat she left folded on the chair. Then I folded the plaque away. I walked off. She died protecting the truth. And now it's my turn.